Hi, everybody, it's Michelle, and welcome to another episode of the Anchors Away podcast. So, today I thought I was going to talk about something that I have had many of in my 30 plus years of working, or almost 30. I started working when I was 19, and I will be 48 this year, so roughly around 30 years. So, anyways, what I'm talking about is bad bosses. Now, everybody has had a bad boss. Sometimes you think, oh, it's just the job, whatever, maybe I don't like it or whatever, but most of the time it is going to be coming into a bad boss. So, my very first job, I don't think I had any bad bosses. I worked at Walmart back when Walmart was a very good place to work. Not like it is today. And then I got into the banking industry. And during my roughly 13 years or whatever in the banking industry, I had some very bad bosses. And what I kind of think makes a bad boss is someone that doesn't practice what they preach. They tell you one thing and then do another themselves, or something that, or someone that is not supportive, and somebody who really is always on a power trip. That to me are the three things that define someone to be a bad boss, and I have had plenty of those. So, and then also in my HR career, I've been in HR. This will be my 12th year in HR. I started HR in 2011, and so it'd be like my 12th year in HR. And even as HR, I've had some bad bosses. And by bad bosses, I don't mean like CEOs or anything like that. I mean like that were directly above me in HR. Have had some really bad CEOs, and I'll talk about that now or a little bit later. But I want to get into my first that I can remember bad boss. And this person was a few years younger than me at the time, and had just graduated college. This was like a first management job for this person. And when it came, I just, the whole job was just not a good fit for me. I advocated myself so much to get this job, and then when I got there, it wasn't anything like I thought it was going to be. It wasn't a good fit for me. And I think it was because if you're just starting out in the banking industry, working at a credit union or at a really old school bank is really, really good for you. But after you've been in banking for a while, it's just kind of like taking a step back. And that's kind of how I felt. Like everything was like taking a step back. I was used to like the advancement in banking and things like that, and this was just really old school. And I just wasn't grasping anything. I worked too fast, and so it just wasn't the right fit for me. I didn't really fit in. Like I didn't feel like I had friends, and that's really a big thing for me. Is if I don't trust the people I work with, it doesn't really make a good workplace for me. I have to be able to trust and to get along with the people that I work with. And for me, it was not like that. I just felt like an outsider the whole time I was there. And that was part of it. But when it came time for me to leave, I had a manager, and then I had an assistant manager. And the assistant manager had come up and said something really rude to me. And so I was like, and I was like, well, you're going to have to be showing somebody else how to do this or whatever, because I'm not going to be here for very much longer, which was probably bad for me, but I was fed up at that point. And he called me a not so nice name. And by a not so nice name, I mean he called me a B word. And a donkey. I'm going to say he called me a jack. And then he proceeded to go and tell the manager that I was quitting. He gave my notice for me before I even had a chance to go in and talk to them. And I don't think I did anything bad. I mean, I told a manager. I didn't tell the manager, but I told a manager. And so I got called in her office and told I was unprofessional and everything like that. And I thought, wait a minute, you're calling me unprofessional and he's the one that gave the notice for me? I thought that was very unprofessional and a very bad boss. So anyhow, that was my first acknowledged for 27 years I did not have a bad boss. I had pretty good bosses. I had people that wanted to mentor me, who wanted to. No, that's not true, because the first bank I worked at got bought out by another bank, and just the people there were horrible. They were just rude and just said all kinds of things, and they just weren't nice people. But that was the first bad boss I had. And so I left there and I went to my third bank, and loved it. I love the company. I still am friends with a lot of people that I met there. And didn't really have any bad bosses. I worked with a lot of people that were cliquey, but they weren't my bosses. They were coworkers. And so that was wonderful. I loved that. And then when I left that job, I moved to North Carolina, and that was a whole bad deal. I did a whole nother podcast on that fiasco. But then when I came back, I worked a lot of part-time jobs, and I got a part-time job at a bank in the town where I lived. And I thought that was good because I knew where I wanted to go to school, and they had the same bank in the town where the school was. So I thought, oh, I'll get a job here. I can transfer and go to college when I finish my college stuff here. So that was really good. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever, I'm going to do this. And just had horrible boss after horrible boss after horrible boss. I had a boss that told me I was too old to be happy with what I was doing in my life. I was like, I just want a job that makes me happy. And he told me I was too old to think that way. No, you're not. You're never too old to be happy or to make yourself happy. You can make any changes that you want. And I, right now, am very happy in my life. So you have to do, happiness comes from inside of you, but it's never too late to chase your dreams, and it's never too late for you to make yourself happy. And so that I am going to put in the thing as a bad boss, because he was not supportive and he said something that was very, very rude. So I got that job, or was at that job. I transferred to the new city where the school was going to school, and I loved the first boss I had at this bank. I worked at all the different branches. I loved it. It was so fun. I knew everybody, and I probably should have stayed in that position and just rocked it until I graduated college, because I loved doing what I did in that position. But I wanted to be a supervisor so bad. I just wanted to be a teller supervisor. And so I got a teller supervisor position, and they put me in a branch, and I thought I was doing very good. But then I got in trouble because I told one of my employees. I had meetings every week with my employees. I was very open with them about what we needed to do and how we needed to do it. And one of my employees called and told on me because my voice was shaking when I talked to her. Well, for one, yes, because that's the first time I had ever had to get on to an employee. So yeah, I was a little bit shaky, and they said that I yelled at her. I did not yell at her. My voice never raised. It was very shaky, but I never yelled at her. And so this boss came in, sat down with me, and I said, now you yell at me, whatever. And she goes, and you did what I wanted to, didn't you? And I said, yeah, but why can you yell and I can't? Bad boss. Bad boss. Hated the two bosses at that branch. One was only worried about her sons doing what she wanted them to do, and just talked bad about her sons and everything. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to hear this from you. You're my boss. I don't need to know what goes on in your life. I like a very thin line between boss and employee. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to know about your personal life. Tell me what I need to do at work. Let me do my job and go. But this particular boss, or assistant supervisor, was just on a very big power trip. And I've seen her at a few meetings here and there, and I've tried to talk to her, and she just would not talk to me. And I think that is because she knows that she did wrong, and she knows that I know she did wrong. But just a bad boss, I think. She's no longer there at that particular institution. Neither am I. I've been gone there for a long time, and but I still remember that and being a bad boss, and it was just terrible, just terrible. Like, some people, I don't know how they get these positions because they don't practice what they preach, and that is a lot of all of this, that don't practice what they preach. Or they tell you things, do as I say, not as I do, and that is not my management leadership style at all. I believe that knowledge is power. If I know something that's going to help you, I'm going to get you there. And a lot of the people that have worked under me did get moved up in positions. And I don't like the term leader, supervisor, whatever. I'm a mentor. I'm going to mentor you. I don't care what position you're in. If I know something and you want to know how to do it, I am going to do that for you. And I'm going to give you that knowledge. And if you take that knowledge and get to go somewhere better, that is perfectly fine. Because the more you know, the stronger you are. If you stay with me, our team is going to be stronger, and we're going to do better things. But I know that I am probably in the positions I am in to be a teacher and to be a mentor. I'm not meant to be a manager. I'm not meant to have that stuff. I am there to mentor people so that they can go on and be the manager, so that they can go on and move up to the bigger positions. But that's not for me. That's not where my heart lies. My heart lies with, I probably should have went into teaching. I probably should have went into something else rather than HR, because my whole thing is I love teaching people. I love people. I love learning. I love helping people learn. And so that's the kind of leadership style that I think that I am, actually, and that's what I value in other people that are in leadership positions. I want them to help their employees grow and help their employees go on to do bigger and better things. And, if you don't practice what you preach, you're not supportive. In a couple of positions I've had, they just were not supportive. I had a boss tell me that wasn't supportive, that I couldn't sit in on interviews, even though I was in HR and I'm supposed to be learning this stuff, because they didn't want the interviewee to feel horrible or to feel nervous or whatever. And I'm thinking, I've sat in on interviews with 12 people and me, and they all asked me questions. Like, why is that a thing? Like, I believe that they just did not think that I could do the job. But then they were gone, and I was told to do recruiting, so I just kind of had to fly by the seat of my pants and do it, which I did. And everything that has ever happened to me like that, I have always shown. Like, I've shined. But just that not being supportive, or being too busy that you cannot show people their job, and then telling them that they aren't doing their whole job when you haven't given them the skills that they need to do the whole job, that to me is a bad boss. And it just is, it's really it's really concerning that is the way that companies are going now. And it's not that I don't know how to do the job or I don't know how to do the things. I just don't know how they do them here. And so I just started taking on things. Like, I just started doing them. And I was just like, oh, I've already done this. I've already done this. I've already done this. Like, if I wait for you to be able to do my job, I'm not going to be able to do it. So I'm just going to do the things the way that I know how. And if it's not how they're done here, then you can tell me after. But I'm not going to sit around and wait on you, because obviously that's not important. So yeah, people that are not supportive, that don't practice what they preach, are two of my main things that are things that make a bad boss. And then just people that are just rude. And I think I've covered all of those up to my first job to now. And I've been in, so I worked in retail, I've worked in baking, I've worked in HR. So those are the three things that I've had, but there's subcategories of those. I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in banking, I've worked in manufacturing, I've worked, in retail and all those things. One of the other bosses I had, they just didn't communicate well. And I think being able to communicate, especially if it concerns me. I want you to communicate to me directly, or I'm going to ask you about it. And I did that at my previous job that I had before the job where I'm currently at. And I had applied for a position, and I was told I needed to have more supervisory experience. And I thought, I've managed a whole bank branch before. I was a teller supervisor. What other kind of supervisory experience do I need? I've ran a whole freaking bank branch. But I think it was they just did not want me in that position. And then I applied for another position, and I didn't even get an interview for it when they said they interviewed everybody. And I asked about it. I said, I can hear you guys setting up interviews. Like, my office was right next to my boss's office. So they got a sound machine, so I couldn't hear what she was saying, because I told them that. And I said, you're doing all of this stuff, but you can't communicate with me that I wasn't chosen to get an interview. I understand that, but please tell me why. And so that just made me lose respect for my boss at the time, and my CEO at the time as well, if I'm being honest. And plus, they give me some things, they just nitpicked a lot of little things. They give me a project that I had nothing to do with. I wanted to go to school to be a news broadcaster, and unbeknownst to me, my CEO has a journalism degree. So they gave me a project to work on, and I didn't do it right. I never went to school for journalism ever a day in my life. I wouldn't know anything about it. And they proofread my stuff like I was a journalist and told me that it wasn't up to snuff because he has a journalism degree. I'm like, well, he has a journalism degree, so that's fine. He knows that, but I don't. So you can't hold me to those same standards unless you're going to show me and tell me what it is. So I've just had a lot of bad bosses, I would say. I can do one over my good bosses because I've had plenty of those too, and I have bosses that still, the things that they taught me have really resonated with me, and I still hold that dear to myself today, that advice that they gave me. So take everything that you learn, whether your boss is good or bad, and really take that, and it shows you two things. One, it will show you the kind of boss that you never want to be. And for two, if you have a bad boss, then it's telling you that maybe these people are not the best people in those positions, and you might need to find something that goes along the lines of your own ethics and moral compass, and of what it is to be, to have in a boss. Did I say stay at some of these jobs for a long period of time with bad bosses? Yes, I did, because one, I needed the money, and for two, it was a means to an end. Some other jobs, I know right away if my boss, like, I have the 3 chance rule. If they do something once, okay, fine. I always take everything to heart. I will do better. I understand that's what you need from me. I'm going to step it up. But I always have red flags, and those red flags, if they go off, if I get 3 of them, I'm looking for a new job. I'm not going to do it anymore. Life is too short. I am 48 years old. I don't have time to deal and to work in a horrible workplace or to work for a bad boss, and I won't do it. So, things will look up. Sometimes it does take a while for you to find a new position. But just take everything that you've learned from that job, from that bad boss, and know that you can change it, and that things will come up, and that you can do better, and that you can shine. If you have to be stuck there, bloom where you're planted. Learn everything that you can while you are there, and try to do the job to the best of your ability, which is kind of where I'm at now. I'm like, I can do this job. I just need to show them that I can do the job, and I am doing the job, and I am doing the job well. So that's what I think, and that is where my head is at in concerns with bad bosses. But again, it is, it's up to you what you do with your life. But everybody has had a bad boss, and everybody has those bad experiences, and I would love to hear yours. So please let me know. You can email me at anchorsawaypodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at Anchors Away Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment if you want. Let me know. I will go through those. Maybe I will do another podcast where I just respond to comments. I think that would be really fun. But thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Bye.